Renee Higgita, the goalkeeper and the cartel. Renee Higgita was an iconic Colombian goalkeeper, famous for his scorpion kick and fearless play for the national team. A star of the 90s, he was charismatic but dangerously close to Colombia's criminal underworld. Higuita's downfall began with his open friendship with drug lord Pablo Escobar. This dangerous association soon turned criminal in 1993, when he escalated his involvement by becoming an intermediary in a shady exchange. The specific crime involved a kidnapping case. He acted as a go-between, delivering ransom money to a criminal contact. Crucially, the goalkeeper accepted a payment of $64,000 for his role, which was illegal under Colombian law, as it meant he profited directly from a kidnapping. He also failed to report the incident to authorities. He was arrested and jailed in 1993 for the crime of profiting from kidnapping. The eccentric star served 7 months in prison without trial, a sentence that directly caused him to miss the 1994 FIFA World Cup, the peak of his international career. His legacy is permanently stained by his association with Escobar and his decision to involve himself in cartel business. The dazzling risks Higuita took on the pitch couldn't save his legacy, as his loyalty to a criminal and the choice to profit from a kidnapping gave him a stain he couldn't simply wipe away. Paul Gascoigne, the tragic genius. Paul Gascoigne was the golden boy of English football, a talented midfielder whose tears at the 1990 World Cup made him a national icon. He was beloved for his skills and charisma, but his genius was tragically undermined by a crippling battle with mental illness and addiction. Following his retirement, the star fell into a public, devastating cycle of alcoholism, breakdowns, and relapses. His addiction became a matter of constant tabloid headlines, transforming his life into a series of crises witnessed by the entire nation. His struggles led to numerous arrests and hospitalizations. In 2008, his mental health crisis became so severe he was sectioned under the UK's Mental Health Act. More disturbingly, he admitted in interviews to domestic violence, specifically hitting women, including his ex-wife Cheryl. He also faced charges for common assault and a racially aggravated public order offence in 2018, highlighting how his illness fueled criminal behaviour. Gaza has spent millions on relentless recovery attempts, often leading to bankruptcy. He has endured countless stays in rehab and been stripped of his privacy, with his life often feeling more like a continuous medical and legal emergency than a retirement. His legacy is tragically split between the adored genius and the figure of desperate public suffering. Gascoigne's talent won the hearts of a nation, but his addiction became a beast he could never truly tame, turning the golden boy into a constant tragedy. Fabio Cannavaro, the tax-dodging captain. Fabio Cannavaro stands as a legend of Italian football, renowned for his discipline as a defender, winning the 2006 World Cup as captain and earning the Ballon d'Or. After retiring, however, his financial life revealed a sharp contrast to his disciplined on-field persona. His problems began with a widespread investigation into tax evasion linked to his luxury assets. The probe centered on a yacht company he ran, which was allegedly used as a mechanism to avoid paying millions in Italian taxes. Authorities found his company had allegedly failed to pay over €1 million in taxes. The scandal reached a peak in 2015 after police had legally seized his luxury yacht over the unpaid debts. The former captain and his family were discovered brazenly using the boat anyway, a direct violation of the seizure order and an act of contempt for the court. For his tax evasion and contempt of court, he was sentenced to 10 months in prison. The legal battle resulted in the seizure of assets and permanently marked the World Cup winning captain as a tax offender, highlighting the privileged who think the rules don't apply to them. While Cannavaro could defend his goal against the best strikers in the world, he couldn't defend his fortune against the Italian taxman, proving fame offers no shield from financial scrutiny. Hakan Şükür, the fugitive striker. Hakan Şükür was known as the Bull of the Bosphorus, a legendary striker who remains Turkey's all-time top goalscorer and a national hero for leading the team to third place in the 2002 World Cup. After his glorious football career, he leveraged his fame to enter politics. His political alignment became his ruin. Şükür was a vocal supporter of the Gülen movement. After the 2016 attempted coup in Turkey, the movement was blamed and declared a terrorist organisation, instantly making him a suspect. The full force of the state was brought down upon him. He was accused of treason and membership in an armed terrorist organisation. An arrest warrant was issued, forcing him to flee the country with his family. His assets were seized and frozen, turning the former millionaire icon into a man desperately seeking asylum and a new life abroad. He became a fugitive, stripped of his fortune and citizenship. His exile in the United States forced the national hero to take up menial work, including driving Uber, to survive in Washington, D.C. The Turkish government effectively erased his legacy, highlighting how political turmoil can instantly turn a revered figure into a pariah. The legend swapped the roar of the stadium for the silence of exile, proving that in politics, fame can turn a national hero into a national enemy overnight. Samuel Eto'o, the tax fraud president. Samuel Eto'o is a giant of African football, a 4-time African Player of the Year, and a prolific striker who won multiple Champions League titles. After retiring, he became the powerful president of the Cameroon Football Federation. His administrative career was immediately marked by financial crime. In 2022, he was convicted of tax fraud in Spain for income earned during his playing career, and shortly after, he was embroiled in a corruption scandal. The tax fraud conviction related to hiding $3.8 million in image rights income through shell companies. He received a 22-month suspended prison sentence and paid a huge fine. Later that year, an explosive recording emerged where the president was allegedly heard discussing match manipulation to favour a local club, directly abusing his position of power. The tax fraud conviction stained his personal record, and the match-fixing allegations led to severe scrutiny from FIFA and CAF. He faces potential disqualification from all sporting positions and has brought the integrity of Cameroonian football under threat, symbolising administrative failure. Eto'o scored goals that brought glory to millions, but his greed and corruption in administration have turned his legacy into a toxic symbol of betrayal. Stan Collymore, the violent striker. Stan Collymore was a physically imposing striker who played for major clubs like Liverpool and Nottingham Forest. He possessed undeniable talent, but his career became defined by his volatile temper, documented mental health issues, and violent actions off the pitch. Collymore's destructive tendencies led to frequent public clashes with opponents and managers. However, his greatest scandals involved his private life. He struggled with sex addiction and a history of domestic violence against his partners. The most notorious incident occurred in the 90s when the striker admitted to beating his then-partner, TV presenter Ulrika Jonsson, in a Paris hotel room. This admission cemented his public image as a violent figure. His open struggles with sex addiction also led to scandalous public incidents, further derailing his professional and personal life. The combination of his recognised talent and his documented violence made him a toxic figure to many clubs and fans. He became a pariah in the media, and his reputation as a domestic abuser overshadowed his footballing achievements. While he was open about his mental health struggles and sought help, the violence he inflicted resulted in an inescapable public shaming that followed him through the rest of his career and into punditry. The star had the talent to be an icon, but his fists and self-destructive addictions reduced Collymore's legacy to a cautionary tale about unchecked rage. Michel Platini, the fallen president. Michel Platini was a French football genius, a 3-time Ballon d'Or winner who, post-retirement, became one of the most powerful men in the sport as president of UEFA. His story is one of spectacular power earning in corruption and criminal investigation. Platini's descent began with the 2015 FIFA scandal, centred on a suspicious transaction. He was accused of accepting a mysterious 2 million Swiss francs payment from Sepp Blatter in 2011, claiming it was for old consultancy work with no written contract. The payment's timing raised massive corruption flags. The transaction was deemed unlawful by prosecutors, leading to the collapse of both his and Blatter's careers. In a later, shocking development, the French legend was arrested by French police in 2019 in connection with the controversial and corruption-plagued awarding of the 2022 World Cup to Qatar, facing potential charges of conspiracy and influence peddling. He was hit with a ban from all football activity by the FIFA Ethics Committee, losing his UEFA presidency and any chance of leading FIFA. Despite later clearing his name in a Swiss court, the high-profile arrest and the scandal permanently tarnished his reputation as an administrator and tied him to global football corruption. The genius went from steering European football to a suspect in a global corruption probe, proving that absolute power in football ultimately destroys its most famous sons. Robinho, the gang rapist. Robinho was a Brazilian forward once hailed as the new Pelé. He was a technical prodigy who played for giants like Real Madrid, Manchester City, and AC Milan, achieving stardom before his life took a terrifyingly dark turn. His career was destroyed by a truly heinous crime. The horrific incident occurred in 2013 while playing for AC Milan, when he was involved in the gang rape of a 22-year-old Albanian woman at a Milan nightclub. An Italian court found Robinho and 5 other men guilty of participating in the group sexual assault after the victim had been plied with alcohol. The crime was described as having involved brutal and humiliating acts. He fled Italy before the final verdict. The conviction was upheld by the Italian Supreme Court in 2022, and he was sentenced to 9 years in prison. In 2024, a Brazilian court ruled he must serve his Italian sentence in Brazil. The definitive Italian conviction for gang rape was a catastrophic end to his public life. The Brazilian court ruling cemented his status as a convicted rapist, turning the former global superstar into a man facing a 9-year sentence for a monstrous act of violence. Robinho could beat any defender on the pitch, but his brutality off it earned him a 9-year sentence, forever proving that talent means nothing when compared to cruelty. Romario, the political maverick. Romario was a legendary Brazilian striker, a World Cup winner whose quick feet and clinical finishing made him one of the most exciting players of the 90s. After retiring, he successfully transitioned into politics, eventually being elected senator for Rio de Janeiro. His shift to politics brought intense public scrutiny, and he soon faced serious allegations of financial misconduct that mirrored the corruption he had promised to fight. The issues centred on tax evasion and the misuse of public funds. The legend was indicted for tax evasion, forcing him into legal battles over his personal finances. In a more damaging twist, investigations were launched into his political activities, linking him to the alleged embezzlement of campaign funds. He was accused of using money meant for his political campaigning for personal purposes, directly betraying the public trust he had gained through his football fame. The allegations and indictment severely damaged his political career and personal reputation. He was forced to fight legal battles that cast a shadow over his time in office, transforming him from a celebrated representative of the people to another politician embroiled in financial scandal. He was a champion on the pitch, but in the political arena, Romario quickly found himself fighting accusations of the very corruption he had promised to defeat. Eric Cantona, the revolutionary king. Eric Cantona was the king, a mercurial and brilliant forward who captained Manchester United to immense success, renowned for his flair, leadership, and philosophical pronouncements. His post-retirement life became defined by a bizarre mix of acting and political activism. While not criminal, his post-retirement life became weird, marked by his shift into independent movies and increasingly cryptic philosophical public quotes. More significantly, he adopted radical political stances that urged followers to take extreme action. Cantona called for an economic revolution by urging people to stage a bank run by simultaneously pulling all their money out of the system to bring down what he saw as corrupt banks. He also made strong, divisive political statements, often using strange Shakespearean quotes, like the famous seagulls following the trawler line, to articulate his deep distrust of global financial and political systems. The king faced no direct criminal charges for his activism, but he became a fringe political figure, often dismissed by mainstream media as an eccentric. His reputation transitioned from football genius to a political provocateur and indie actor, though his political statements remain highly controversial and highly publicised. Cantona was the king of football, but his radical politics and cryptic calls for revolution proved his greatest fight was against the system, not the back of the net. Patrick Kluivert. The betting connection. Patrick Kluivert was a Dutch striking sensation, a Champions League winner with Ajax and a prolific goalscorer for Barcelona. His elegant play made him a star, but his post-playing career became riddled with allegations of financial impropriety and ties to organised crime. His name was shockingly linked to an illegal betting ring operating in the Netherlands in 2017. The connection suggested he had been involved with criminal elements who were running illicit gambling operations. The Dutch media reported that he was connected to the illegal ring and had amassed a large debt to the organisation, which he struggled to repay. At the same time, while serving as the director of football at Paris Saint-Germain, he was also subject to a separate tax evasion investigation related to his finances, adding to his legal woes. The confluence of illegal betting and tax issues painted a picture of serious financial indiscipline. Although Kluivert denied direct involvement in the illegal betting, the scandal caused immense damage to his reputation as a respected executive. The allegations forced him to fight off public scrutiny and legal investigations simultaneously, confirming his life after football was far more troubled than his gilded playing years. The striker was a masterful finisher on the pitch, but his association with illegal betting and his tax issues proved he was taking reckless risks off it. George Weah, the accused president. George Weah is a legendary Liberian footballer, the only African player ever to win the Ballon d'Or. After his stellar career, he transitioned to the highest office, becoming president of Liberia in 2018, a source of immense pride for his continent. During his first term as president, his administration faced mounting criticism and grave accusations of embezzlement of public funds, with millions allegedly vanishing from government projects. His handling of mass public dissent also came under scrutiny. Accusations emerged that his administration was embezzling millions intended for the public. When mass protests erupted over the corruption claims and economic hardship, Weah made the controversial decision to deploy the military to quell the demonstrations. This move led to accusations of suppressing free speech and using authoritarian tactics against his own people. He lost significant support among the people who had once idolised him. His presidency became tainted by financial scandal and accusations of undermining democracy, a profound disappointment for those who hoped the former superstar would bring honest reform. The legend won the people's heart as a footballer, but as president, his administration proved that fame is a poor substitute for political integrity. Thierry Henry, the insider trader. Thierry Henry was one of the greatest strikers in the Premier League era, a key figure in Arsenal's Invincibles and a World Cup winner with France. Known for his intelligence on the pitch, his post-retirement business activities drew the attention of financial regulators. Henry, who transitioned into punditry and coaching, became embroiled in an investigation into suspected insider trading related to a tech firm in 2022. The scandal involved the privileged information he may have received as a high-profile investor. French financial regulators opened an investigation over reports that he and other investors sold shares in the tech firm just days before the company publicly announced disappointing earnings. This timing strongly suggested that they were acting on privileged, non-public information, giving them an unfair financial advantage over the rest of the market. While the investigation was ongoing and formal charges were not immediately clear, the scrutiny linked his name to white-collar crime. The high-profile investigation cast a shadow over his reputation, suggesting that the former striker may have used his insider status to gain illegal financial advantage. Henry was famed for his vision on the pitch, but his business moves showed a glimpse of greed, leading to a legal investigation that threatened his reputation for integrity. Luís Figo, the Pandora Papers link. Luís Figo was a Portuguese superstar, a Ballon d'Or winner, known for his dazzling wing play and part in the infamous, controversial transfer from Barcelona to Real Madrid. A legend of his generation, his integrity came into question after a massive global financial leak. His name was implicated in the 2021 Pandora Papers leak, which revealed a vast network of hidden offshore financial accounts used by the global elite to shield assets and potentially evade taxes. The documents allegedly linked him to offshore accounts that authorities suspected were used for money laundering and tax avoidance. In parallel, he had already faced scrutiny over potential tax fraud in Spain related to undeclared image rights income during his time there. The leaks provided fresh evidence suggesting a deliberate, long-running strategy to evade financial obligations. While Figo has always maintained his innocence, the scandal publicly linked the legendary player to the secretive world of offshore finance, tax evasion, and potential money laundering. The revelation tarnished his image as a clean public figure and placed him under intense scrutiny by global tax authorities. Figo mastered the art of crossing on the pitch, but the Pandora Papers showed he was playing a risky game with offshore accounts. Sepp Blatter, the FIFA emperor. Sepp Blatter was the long-serving president of FIFA, running the global body like a behemoth for 17 years. While not a former player, he was the ultimate power broker, whose tenure was marked by unprecedented financial expansion and a creeping culture of corruption that eventually became his undoing. His reign came to a spectacular end with the 2015 FIFA scandal, where numerous high-ranking officials were indicted by the US Department of Justice. He was accused of running FIFA like his personal empire and facilitating a system that turned the sport into a money machine fueled by bribes. The key event leading to his ban was the mysterious $2 million payment to Michel Platini, which Swiss prosecutors labelled as having unlawfully enriched Platini and lacked a legal basis. The FIFA emperor was accused of numerous breaches of the FIFA ethics code, including conflicts of interest and failure to report the suspicious payment. The scandal revealed how a powerful few controlled the sport through massive, shady deals. He was banned from all football activity. Jean-Pierre Papin, the failed businessman. Jean-Pierre Papin was a brilliant French striker, a Ballon d'Or winner in 1991, famous for his powerful volleys and goals for Marseille. His career was one of on-field glory, but his post-retirement ventures into business proved disastrous and led to legal woes. In the mid-2000s, he launched a youth academy and a consulting business, leveraging his name to attract clients. However, the venture soon collapsed, leading to multiple accusations of financial misconduct and mismanaging funds. Several clients and partners accused Papin of running a business based on misleading contracts and were unable to recover their money. The complaints focused on unpaid refunds for a failed youth academy, leaving young families out of pocket and accusing the Ballon d'Or winner of embezzlement and fraud. The scandal centred on his handling of client finances and the legal obligations of his failed company. He faced civil and legal challenges over the financial mismanagement,